Ooh, what's happening, folks? Welcome to another eclectic edition of PWT Podcast. I am your host, the infallible Phil Marks, and joining me today, the one and only Super Duper Duper Sooplex is in the building. How are you, my guy?
The horns. Love it. I love Stream Deck box setup. I need your setup, man. I need to have the horns and everything going on when I'm on my podcast and whatnot. I need that stuff. But no, I'm doing very well, man. I just got in the door. I fed my cats. I'm hungry. I haven't fed myself yet, but you know, they got to come first. But doing good. I'm going to be off to see Terrifier 3 not too long after this. That's my second time seeing it.
Oh, wow.
The blood and gore and all that stuff. Go see Terrifier 3. If you don't have a strong stomach, don't. But otherwise, yeah, I'm doing good, man.
That's amazing. So if you're listening to PWT here and you're unfamiliar with Sooplex, A, you need to get familiar with him. But B, here's his channel if you're watching it on youtube.com/@Sooplex with 2 O's, not a U. And that's where you can find him everywhere on social media, I believe, as well. You're just Sooplex, right?
Yes, sir. Sooplex with 1X. So it can vary. Sometimes it's Sooplex with 2X's because some bastard took Sooplex with 1X. But yeah, it's Sooplex across all applications. SOOPLEX is the safe search.
So how'd you come up with the Sooplex name, and like what made you start like getting into content creation? Like for me, I just wanted to vent and kind of make funny jokes and talk shit. I don't know. For you, for everyone, it's kind of different. And like you got the coldest name in the game, in my opinion, dude. So
thank you.
What? How'd you come up with that? I guess, and what made you like start making content and all of that? You know.
Well, I guess that question kind of segues into the first. So I'll start off with my upbringing. So I started doing content creation. I'm a Santi called me a veteran in the business, and that made me feel so old, but technically I am. I started doing YouTube in like 2011 when I was in my freshman year of high school. I literally just saw guys like Smosh, guys like Shane Dawson and PewDiePie, you know, doing YouTube. I thought it was awesome. I said, you know, I could do the same thing. There's nothing really stopping me. I'm in high school. I have all the free time in the world except for homework. So I picked up the camera. I started recording myself. I didn't really take it seriously. I just wanted to do it because I can do it. I ended up falling in love with the editing process and the creative process of making videos. And I just kind of kept on doing it after that point. I started doing gaming videos in the very beginning. And after that, I was like, you know, I don't really see too much representation for professional wrestling on YouTube. Now, mind you, I did see some creators in this time very, very small. Like I feel like now in the wrestling community, there's a lot of YouTubers and TikTokers and, you know, IG creators who talk wrestling. But way back then, it was a very small minority. Yep. One of the very first people I got exposed to, actually the very first person I got exposed to in X space was Aaron Rift of NoDQ.com. He was one of the first people I saw on this app. And after that, it was the Lex Man. Shout out to him. I know we're not like on the best of terms, but he was one of the very first Black people I saw talking about wrestling on this app, which really inspired me. And then the other one is Solar Monster Sounds Off, who I've been listening to ever since 2014. So he's a big inspiration as well. But I saw those guys influenced me to talk about wrestling. And I started talking about wrestling in 2015. And mind you, I was pretty bad at it. I didn't have my voice yet. I didn't really know how to articulate my thoughts out there. I just know I wanted to talk about wrestling. It didn't really come about until 2018, around the time Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho started feuding on Twitter, and then that led to their match at Wrestle Kingdom 12 in New Japan, where I really started taking it seriously. For those of you who knew me back in 2018, before that point, I was just Tyler Williams, which is my real name. In 2018, I started covering New Japan. Like I was one of the really, you discovered me way back then.
Dude, yeah, like I was familiar. Wow. I've been familiar with you this whole time, bro. Like, I don't know. I've been a fan. So
you saw the come up then. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because people think I've been like, you know, balling since before time. No, I just started blowing up in the last like 2 years. 3 years, bro. Like I was at like maybe 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers in 2021. You know what I mean? But yeah, in 2018, I was talking about New Japan, and I was one of those content creators, which was an even smaller minority of the wrestling community. And I was uploading videos to like a crowd of like 50 people, 100 people if I'm lucky. You know what I mean? In 2019, when AEW came around, that's when I really started getting back into like the American scene of professional wrestling, because at the time the WWE product was ass. So I was under no inclination to watch or cover it. So when AEW came around, that really got me back in to mainstream American wrestling again. And I got to follow that and cover AEW from its very beginning. And that was, and that is still a very fun journey. And it was that journey with AEW and New Japan that kind of led me back into WWE. Now, mind you, it took me some convincing, and it took me watching the Bloodline story play out to get back into WWE. But by the time we came around to like late 2022, early 2023, I was back covering WWE, which I hadn't been covering WWE in a full capacity on my channel since like 2017. So it was like a good like 7-year gap. I mean, 5-year gap between talking about WWE and talking about other things. After 2023, that's when I was off to the races with creating TikToks and Instagram and blowing up on these platforms and making a name for myself as Sooplex. And to answer your question, I was Tyler Coon Williams in 2018 to 2021. I came up with the name Sooplex because I was creating a TikTok account after I got persuaded into creating one. And I wanted to kind of establish a different name. Like, I've been Tyler Coon Williams. I've been Tyler Williams. I want to do something different. And I said, okay, I want to create a very straightforward, punctual name that people can associate with wrestling, preferably a wrestling move. So I'm going through a list of moves, and I say, okay, well, technically, on my secondary channel, which I don't use at all, I was called Tyler Sooplex, which was my name, and then Suplex. I said, okay, let's go with Tyler Sooplex. And I said, why don't we do something better and just drop Tyler and just do Sooplex? Like, it's simple, easy. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows what a suplex is. So I do Suplex. It's taken. So I said, okay, we'll do something else. And Powerbomb's taken, DDT's taken. I said, well, let's circle back to Sooplex real quick. I said, we can still do Sooplex, but what if instead of doing a U, I do 2 O's? Because 2 O's makes the ooh sound. So I said, okay, Suplex. Sooplex is born, and that's the name across all my platforms. Now everyone knows me as Sooplex, and like you said, it's one of the best names in the game. Not to toot my own horn, but I think it is honestly one of the best wrestling names that there is. I mean, it's straightforward. Everybody knows what it is, and my name is now associated with the wrestling move. Simple as that.
So the IWC and like content creating, one thing I know is like I've noticed too is it can get pretty toxic, like especially like even when I was just sort of an observer, no Dave Meltzer in the IWC for a bit. I was just kind of lurking for a while, tweeting stuff out, being hypercritical of things that I dislike, glazing the shit out of things that I do like. It's what Twitter's for. And you just, especially when you start creating content, though, you realize, like, dude, it can get pretty dark and weird and toxic. How have you navigated that with, like, sort of the sudden blow up? I mean, we're looking at your channel now, dude. You got, like, 86K subs, dude. So that's amazing. Everyone, round of applause for Sooplex. I looked at that, and I'm like, dude, I can get there one. Like, it just inspires
everybody can get there, man.
Yeah.
Everybody can get there.
Yeah, and like, how do you navigate though, like the toxic side of the IWC as it's come to be known?
Well, here's the thing: when it comes to toxicity, and not just the wrestling community, but any community online, these are people who are online who want to spread any type of opinion, whether it be good or hatred, online because they know they can say what they want and get away with it. Simple fact of the matter. Now, obviously, with cancel culture these days, when you're someone of a bit of a higher or well-known status, you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. But more or less, I can say what I want, and what are you going to do? You can't punch me through the screen. So that's why people say all types of words to me or to you, and they just go about their day and then just take it as, okay, well, just what are you going to do about it? But when it comes to navigating through it, the unfortunate reality is you kind of have to grow thick skin. Like, you have to, and mind you, words, people like to say, sticks and stones. But if someone hits the right trigger, a word is going to hurt. A word is going to get to you. at some degree, and especially when you have a mob of people, because it's easy to be on the mob side when someone has a dumb opinion online, or when someone says something outlandish or does something stupid or does something heinous. It's so easy to be on the quote side, the quote tweet side, with everybody else hounding on this person. But when you're on the other side and you're the one being hounded on, dude, it sucks. One of the first videos I've seen of you was actually when you were covering me during the ordeal last year, when I said I wanted to see a Chris Benoit biopic get made. I saw you covered that. You have it right up. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like you had this point coming up soon. But yeah, that was one of the first videos I've seen of you. And when this video dropped, I probably had the worst hates and just vitriol I have seen towards me at any point in my life. I had like 2,000 to 3,000 quote tweets. I had people DMing me all types of racist and just incredibly like hurtful things. And at some point, when you have all this stuff going on, and I'm not gonna lie, I did respond to it the first time because I felt like I kind of had to defend myself, because I thought people were misinterpreting what I was saying. But then also people were taking what I was saying and spinning it a whole different way. Like, oh, you like Chris Benoit, you're a defender. It's like, no, I'm not defending the Chris Benoit. I'm not at all saying that I agree with what he did, or I'm a fan of his. Like, no, I'm saying I want to see his story get told on the big screen. That's all I said. And apparently, yes, that's all I said. Yeah. And because people have this negative connotation and attachment to the person, they don't want any glorification at all. And what I'm saying is, I just want to see it. I don't want to see it get glorified, but they didn't care about that. All they saw is, you want this villain to be put on the screen for the world to see and for people to, appreciate. And even though it's an art form, we don't care. This is what you want. You want this bad thing, therefore you are a bad person. And the only thing I could do was respond. And when I realized, the response still don't, like, these people still don't care. No. Like, the response just made it worse. I logged out. Like, sometimes you literally just got to log out. You got to log out of Twitter. You got to just go about the day, because at the end of the day, someone said this online. I forgot who it was, but they said, no one can get to you if you are not looking at what they're saying. Like, if you log off, if you're not online, you can't see anything anyone's saying about you. And I can't say that when you open the app back up, it's going to be sunshine and rainbows, but it's better than being on Twitter for hours and hours to see people say heinous, incredibly like dastardly things about you. So when it comes to navigating through the toxicity, I think you just got to trudge through it. There's no getting better. There's no trying to help and build a better community. You're going to have toxic people no matter what. There's no way around it. So you just got to walk through it and just know this is what it's going to be. Now, if you're somebody on the lower end of content, or maybe you're just a fan, you're fine. When you're someone who gets a bit higher in the hierarchy of content, this is kind of like, info for you. You just got to log out sometimes.
Yeah. You could say they attacked you like rabid Wolverines.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Any other, if you go to my Twitter, and I feel like people probably did this because they wanted to see, what does Sooplex have to say about Chris Benoit? If you go to my Twitter and you literally search at Sooplex Chris Benoit, it's literally nothing but fuck Chris Benoit and all this type of stuff for me. But no one ever wanted to tweet about that or talk about this or talk about all the other videos I did on Chris Benoit, or talk about the fact that when I made my WrestleMania main event series, I didn't even want to cover WrestleMania 20 because Chris Benoit was a part of it, and it would in turn glorify him. I didn't want to talk about it, but everyone said, well, he's part of the main event. This is your series. You should do it. And I said, you know what? You're right. I'm going to do it anyway. And kicking and screaming, I did it. But that doesn't matter because I want to see this film get made. So,
yeah, and I had your back, man. I saw people coming at you hard too, and I was like, hell nah, dude. Like, you can't sit there and honestly tell me Sooplex believes that what Benoit did is a good thing because he wants to see a movie. You all watch TV shows about Jeffrey Dahmer and shit. I said it a long time ago, but I'll say it again now. Everybody watches shows about serial killers and all that, making a murderer and all this shit. And you're gonna tell me you wouldn't watch a Chris Benoit movie? That's absolutely ridiculous.
They only said that because they have and I said this before, and they don't want to hear it, but they have an emotional connection to this incident because it was a huge part of professional wrestling, and it shaped the mold of a sport, of a art, of an entertainment that they love. And because this guy so negatively impacted that a big part of their childhood or adulthood or their fandom, nothing you say, unless you are on the side that Chris Benoit either didn't do it, he did nothing wrong, or you were just a fan and you will blindly look past all that stuff. Unless you're either one of those three people, you don't want to see any type of medium where Chris Benoit is presented in any way that's not negative, anything that's not fuck this guy. So for that matter, I could have said anything, literally anything else about Chris Benoit, and if it wasn't fuck Chris Benoit, they didn't want to hear it, and no one was going to want to hear it. But because, like I said, of that emotional attachment, fans are going to hound on you no matter what you say.
Or maybe they're a conspiracy theorist and they think Calvin Sullivan did it. The black helicopters are outside, and you were talking about how you got into the American wrestling scene, I guess. Again, right now you have basically WWE versus AEW, of course. Some people like to take sides, I try to call it like I see it. I started a huge AEW fan. I sort of started falling off. I'm not going to lie. I still do my live show and I watch along with it every week and I try and pick out what's good. And that, I feel like they're really doing some things to show us that they're trying to go in the right direction now again, which I like, stealing some good things from WWE. But ultimately, WWE is firing on all cylinders. My personal favorite wrestling show is NXT. What is Sooplex super into? What is your main you can't miss wrestling show? And do you fall into I'm on Team AEW, I'm on Team WWE, or are you like a fence sit and fill like me?
Listen, when it comes to what show I'm super into right now, really, I'm not super into any show. I kind of just watch the wrestling show that interests me the most at the time. I made a video about a month ago, which I'm sure you probably see, maybe you didn't see it, called I don't like wrestling anymore. That everyone was like, oh my God, Sooplex is retiring from wrestling or whatnot, which I'm not doing. I'm just saying that wrestling is basically going to be secondary to my channel come 2025.
Wow.
But I basically did say that I dropped that bombshell. Wrestling for me is always going to be my first love. It's always going to be, a passion for me. But as a creator, I became very burnt out on professional wrestling, because when you watch wrestling and you do content on it for 10 years like I did, and that's really all the content you do, after a while, you kind of just get almost sick of wrestling in a sense, or you feel after a while, I felt like I was compelled to talk about wrestling, even if I didn't want to, because it was going to get me the views. It was going to bring in, a amount of revenue for me. And I knew this is what my fans and the people wanted. Even though I have other interests, even though I have other things that I wanted to do, people want wrestling. So this is what I have to provide. And that wasn't entirely true, but it's easy as a creator to fall into that mindset that, I have to do this because this, and this. And I have finally sat down, and this is how I've been feeling for over a year. I've been feeling like this since January of this year. And I think my fans even noticed that I started uploading less wrestling content this year. Like I said earlier, I could be at 100K right now if I uploaded more wrestling content, but I started uploading a lot less this year because I've been burnt out and because I felt like my heart's not in it. And when I think about the future of Sooplex the brand, I'm more than just wrestling. I am a cinephile. I am big into pop culture and music and gaming and all this other stuff. And wrestling is also mixed into that, but wrestling is not all I want to be. So even though my name will always be Sooplex, I do not identify as a wrestling content creator. I am a content creator. And I know it hurts for some people to hear, but no, I'm a content creator. I am not a wrestling content creator. That was Sooplex. Sooplex is a content creator now that talks about wrestling.
I was just gonna say, and you told me before we hopped on the air, you were like, you were saying you deleted your Twitter too. You're like, I deleted the app. I'm done on that. You didn't delete your whole account, but you got it off your phone, to say the least, right?
Yeah, and it was because I've had in the last few months, I feel like I've had a lot of posts that just got quote tweeted, and like there's almost like a mini mob on Twitter that just waits for me to post something and just shits on it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not about to keep feeding you gremlins. Like at this point, you guys are waiting for me to say something just so that way I could see the hate that comes across this. I'm not gonna keep doing this. I'm over this.
Do you notice when you post stuff? Sorry to interrupt, but like when you post stuff about AEW or WWE, what do you get more like hate for? When you like AEW stuff, or when you're putting over WWE stuff, or when you're hating on one thing? Like, do you notice like, oh, if I post something like more in this direction, then I'm gonna get more hate? Fuck it, I'll do it anyways. Or
not to go into the tribalism, but it tends to be a lot more the AEW content. Like if I talk about AEW and it's either not correct, which I'm not always correct all the time, I'm not perfect, it's something that they didn't like, I tend to get a lot more hate for the AEW posts than I do the WWE ones. And it's not to say I don't get any hate for WWE posts, but it tends to be a lot more for the AEW side. And like I was saying, it's like, I know if I post on YouTube, if I post on Instagram, if I post on TikTok, I might get some people who disagree, and I'm okay with people disagreeing with me. If you don't like what I have to say, that's fine. We can agree to disagree. We don't have to see eye to eye. But when it comes in, people throwing insults and lobby death threats and disrespect, that shit lies on Twitter more than any other application. So I said, okay, I put out tweets every day. Do I put out shorts every day? No. Do I put out YouTube videos every day? No. But I put out tweets every day. And not only do I get hate for a lot of it, but I don't get paid for any of that shit. So fuck Twitter at this point. And I said, you know what? I'm doing no Twitter November. I'm hopping off this app. I don't know how I'm going to get my wrestling news. I don't know how I'm going to get my movie news, but I'm about to figure it out, and I'm not feeding into it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go one whole month with no Twitter and see how my mental health is, see how my content flourishes, because I feel like by not being on Twitter, it's going to force me to put out more short content, because I have opinions that I could easily type out and get out in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I put that into a video, it's going to accrue more viewership and possibly more revenue. So I said, you know what? This might be for the better. So yeah, I'm doing no Twitter.
I got to start doing that too, man. I'm loose lips on that X app there. You yeeted the thing off though. Sooplex did yeet.
Twitter, I said, nah, I'm just hopping off. And I didn't make an announcement. I'm like, nope, just getting off the app. I don't care. You know where I'm at. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. You can follow me there.
Yeah. So what kind of content? I know you said it, you're a cinephile, you like pop culture and all that. So you're going to lean into that. You're going to just continue making more like pop culture based content is what you're saying as well? Or are you going to step outside the box, start pranking people or whatever? No.
That is not my alley. I don't like prank content.
Me neither.
No. But yeah, I'm just stepping outside the box. If I want to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it and not feel compelled to be tailed down to one thing. But like I said, the major thing I'm focusing on is movies and wrestling. They're basically going to be half and half now, and then everything else comes in between with what I want to do. But back to your question about, do I lean more towards AEW or WWE?
Yeah.
I don't really, by proxy, I would lean more towards WWE because I watch more of that than I do AEW, but I'm still a fan of both. Like, even though I don't love or am infatuated AEW the way I used to be, because I feel like the product quality-wise has fallen off a lot from where it was in years past, I still like watching AEW. I still watch all the pay-per-views. Like November 22nd, AEW Full Gear. I'm going to be in Curacao on vacation, but I'm still going to likely watch the show. You know what I mean? Do I watch Dynamite every week? No. Do I watch Collision every week? No. Collision's in Philadelphia tomorrow. I'm probably not going to go because I don't care about Collision. But the same goes for WWE. Do I watch Raw every week? No. Do I watch SmackDown every week? No. Do I watch NXT every week? No. I'm pretty sure I'm killing some people's hearts right now saying all this. But no, there is no wrestling show I currently watch on a weekly basis. I watch shows that interest me. If I see a Raw card and it looks good, I will watch that show in its entirety. If there are some matches from Raw that I want to watch, I will cherry pick the matches. I will cherry pick SmackDown. I will cherry pick AEW. But as far as like, am I a diehard for either brand? No, I'm not.
So who piques Suplex's interest then? Like, who do you see in a match and you go, I gotta see that shit?
For me right now, Swerve Strickland piques my interest, and I love the way that they've been booking him post his loss of Danielson. I know it's been kind of scarce, and it's made me want to see his matches more. Because one thing AEW tends to do a lot is either overexpose the talent that they have or completely underexpose the talent that they have. There's really not much of an in-between when it comes to Tony Khan's booking. You get the gems of the in-betweens, like, the Orange Cassidys, you get your John Moxleys, you get, the crop of guys that have made event scene. But then you might have a talent like, I don't know, let's say Private Party, who may just now win the tag team championships. Yeah. But before they won those tag team titles, they were extremely undervalued and extremely underutilized. And I don't know why Tony Khan all of a sudden decided now I want to put the titles on Private Party when he had 5 years at a pass to do this. But I'm glad he's going to do that. We'll see how that goes. But there's a lot of other talent in AEW that I would like to see more of that we don't get to see more of. And that's a good part of the reason why I'm also not watching AEW, is that there's a lot of people that I want to see utilized that go stretches of time without being on television.
Dude, you can make a whole fed. You can make a whole fed with the people that are just like not being used in AEW. That's my biggest frustration. And a lot of the guys too, like I get a lot of hate because I was a huge Orange Cassidy fan. Now I cannot stand the guy. You know what I mean?
Really?
I just can't stand it. I can't stand how they've used him and stuff. I can't get behind it. And there's certain guys where I'm like, okay, I get that you want to push these dudes, but people don't want to see these guys. I'm so sorry. The masses aren't convinced yet. With a handful of these guys. And to me, when I see dudes like Wardlow or Ricky Starks just not being used, or even Ray Phoenix, like I get it, Tony Khan, you want to work with all these CMLL dudes and stuff. That's awesome. You had the Lucha Bros there for how long, man? To me, that's where my biggest frustrations with where AEW's gone thus far. Another frustration of mine is like one of the only things that I feel like gets over is when WWE guys come in and we see how long it lasts. I'm extremely excited for Hurt Syndicate, and I just sort of want to transition to that. So I'm sure you're aware that Bobby Lashley debuted on Fight Night, which I was live on the air reacting to it, and I was like, dude, I hope Tony doesn't fumble this. And I said it on the live show. I was like, I got the little rumblies in my tummy, though. I won't even lie. Like, this is pretty exciting. Now, there was a bit of an overrun when this happened, and it actually worked for Tony Khan this time. They got like a little spike in viewership. This video's got over 1 million views. The word game changer gets thrown around a lot. I agree with you. A team like Private Party should have pulled the trigger on them a long time ago, but we're seeing Swerve in this big position. I think he's great, and he's facing off with Lashley, and it seems like it's helping them do some numbers and stuff like that and trending in the direction to where the haters who overanalyze the numbers and shit have to go, this could maybe work in their favor for once here. Who knows? But yeah, are you excited? Like, is Lashley and MVP and Benjamin, I guess to circle back to before, is that going to make you want to tune in to Dynamite every week now?
Hell yeah, I'm super excited to see the Hurt Syndicate in AEW. I think everyone kind of speculated that once MVP came in, so would Shelton and Bobby. Yeah. I mean, obviously Cedric's still in WWE, but we got 3/4, and that's really all we need for right now. Especially Bobby Lashley feuding with Swerve Strickland, a big star in AEW right now. Like, they put Bobby Lashley into a major program right off the bat. Is it for a title? Yeah. No, it doesn't really need to be, because Swerve Strickland is the previous AEW World Champion by proxy of beating Swerve, and he should be beating Swerve in their first match. By proxy of beating him, that will put him in the world title picture very, very soon after that point. And I can very easily see Bobby Lashley being AEW World Champion in very short time. Am I talking World's End? No, I'm not thinking that fast, but we're going into Revolution next year, maybe Double or Nothing next year. I can easily see Bobby Lashley being AEW World Champion and being basically a big brute that AEW seems to always not know how to utilize correctly. I mean, you think about your Lance Archer, who I think was really their big brute during the COVID era that they seemed to just like give up on when they got Wardlow. And once they start to realize that Wardlow was getting over, then you had Wardlow, who Tony Khan, it's such a tragedy what happened to Wardlow, because he was red hot when he was with MJF and then during the MJF feud. And due in part, I think a bit of this is MJF's fault when they were having their match at Double or Nothing, and MJF was like going to pull out of the match because of a contract dispute. And then the match became about MJF and not Wardlow. But then that was all about the follow-up for Wardlow and how his career was going to go. Yeah. And then Tony Khan seemed like he had nothing planned. No. He entered in this TNT Championship back and forth feud with Samoa Joe, which you would think, oh, that's cool. But he kept winning and losing the title for several months. Like that did nothing to establish him as a big player in the main event scene if you can't hold on to the title. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then right after that, he did nothing with him. I don't know if he got hurt.
Well, this is what they did though too, man. And I got to point this out, and it made Wardlow look so dumb. So if you remember in that Samoa Joe feud that you brought up, like Joe, I think cut his hair and beat him up, took his belt and everything, and then they put Wardlow in the Devil faction, like the Undisputed Kingdom or whatever, before we knew that's what it was called. And then he helped Joe. So not only does it not make sense because he already beat MJF, squashed him when MJF was healthy like a year ago. So why would he team up with this evil faction and then help Joe, who humiliated him, and take his belt, get the world title to get back at an MJF who's all injured and beat up after his matches with Jay White and everyone, when Wardlow already knows he can squash MJF, you know? So to me, that's where I go, Tony, what are you doing? Those are the things that have made me sort of fall off of AEW a bit lately too. I don't ever miss a Dynamite, but just to what you were saying earlier, you're like, I don't watch every show. I started kind of doing that too, which I never missed an AEW for like the longest time, man, until very recently. So like anything, Rampage, I watched every Elevation and everything like that. But when it comes to Lashley and them, do you think they get booked correctly? And does it at all bother you that it's like, oh, this is a former WWE guy coming in who's really making moves for AEW, or do you just not even care about that?
AEW has made it basically commonplace for them to bring in former WWE guys. So at this point, I feel like I'm just used to it. Like I feel nothing towards them bringing in him being a former WWE guy means nothing to me because there's been so many former WWE guys brought in to AEW. Yeah. It's just the name for me. Bobby Lashley, the name that he brings, the value that he brings as a wrestler, and the status that he brings over, that means something to me. And I think it is a big deal. Now, is it going to be a game changer for AEW? No. In the long term, I mean, Bobby Lashley has the heat now, and it's all going to be in the booking of Bobby Lashley. But is he going to be a channel changer for people? No. And there really is no true game changer for AEW like that I could think of on the WWE roster right now. Realistically, because if you say, oh, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Becky, those are game changers for AEW, but they're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, no short of The Rock, there is nobody on the WWE roster right now who could come to AEW and make the ratings go up. Because if Adam Copeland couldn't do it, if Adam Cole couldn't do it, if all these other former WWE guys couldn't do it, what makes Bobby Lashley so special? Bobby Lashley is a good wrestler for the brand that can give them compelling television that could possibly bring the ratings up and possibly be a game changer. Is he an instant or guaranteed one? No, he is not. But I'm interested to see what direction they take with this. One thing Bobby Lashley has never really been strong with is on the mic, and that's why we have MVP in here to do that. Bobby Lashley, we know how good of an asset he can be as a powerhouse, and like I was saying, Tony Khan has seemed to fumble those in the past, so I'm just hoping that he realizes what he has in Bobby Lashley, and we don't fall into the same rut we've done with guys in the past. Bobby Lashley's benefit right now is that he's in a faction. Tony Khan's strong suit is booking factions, and because Bobby Lashley is basically persona leader and the instant number one in a faction, he's at a great advantage. Now, The Hurt Syndicate seems to be a heel faction, and there already is a top heel faction, so there's already number 2. But that's fine for now. Once Jon Moxley drops his world title, and I don't quite know if it's to Darby or to say who, it's probably not going to be to Bobby Lashley, because heel versus heel will work in the situation. But whoever Jon Moxley drops the title to is likely the guy that's going to get fed to Bobby Lashley when it's time. That's how I see it.
We were talking about the IWC before, and you brought up ratings there. Do you get caught up in the whole look at WWE's ratings, look at AEW's ratings, look at the attendance, look at the tarp? You know, people want to take pictures of tarps every time they're at the wrestling shows. You know, to me, at first, I got a big kick out of like, oh, let's compare the breakdown, the quarter hours, and then
it was fun in the beginning.
Yeah, now it's just kind of like, oh man, I don't give a shit. We know what AEW is going to draw. And then it's like, why are they running these big buildings? Well, Tony Khan came out and said it. He just likes the convenience for himself, and he's probably got wrestlers who've got buses and shit. They got to pull up to the buildings and stuff. He needs dressing rooms for everyone. He's giving everyone a great lifestyle, and it's like just harping on the ratings all the time and the attendance. To me, it's just a little tiresome. Like, it was fun at the start. Now it's kind of cool, I guess, comparing like what NXT and AEW are doing head to head, but only when they go head to head. When they're on different nights, I don't really give a shit. You know what I mean? Do you get caught up in all of that? And do you care? Does it affect how you view either of these shows? Like, if someone comes at you and goes, yeah, well, fucking Darby's never drawn, you know, $1 with a green crayon. Do you factor that in? Does that affect the way you view stuff? Or is that sort of why you're tapping out of Twitter? You get what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I get what you're getting at. And no, none of that stuff I care about. In the very beginning, when AEW first started off and they were head to head with NXT, oh yeah, I think everybody cared, because it was awesome to relive that magic of the Monday Night Wars that a lot of fans now probably didn't even get to live through. And I didn't get to live through that because I was 4 years old when WCW died. You know what I mean? So I didn't get to live through any of that, but this is kind of my version of it. So that was fun to follow. And once NXT got sent running off Wednesday night, then it was like, okay, who cares? AEW whooped your ass. And now they're doing better.
They did
Tuesday night. They started doing better, and AEW started to slowly decline after that point. There's nothing to compare. You can compare AEW to NXT if you want, but they're not on the same night, so it's like apples to oranges at that point. As far as like the ratings and everything, AEW has fallen to a spot where they run like 700 to 800K, and it has been hard for them to come above a 900 to 1 million mark. Is that like a, oh my god, you know, nobody's draw? Like I don't care. I think that stuff is so superficial, and I think it also hurts the enjoyment of watching the product itself when you get so wrapped up in all this stuff that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things to you as a fan. The aspect of, oh, Darby Allin isn't drawing for this promotion, so it's like, why do you care? Why do you care? As a podcaster, as a content creator, yes, to a degree, we kind of have to care, because, you know, it's, I don't want to say fun to talk about this stuff, but it is a little fun to talk about.
We psychoanalyze shit.
It's fun to psychoanalyze and talk about the inner workings of the business. And, you know, people like to hear us talk about it. But does it matter to me on a personal level? No. And I think it's weird when fans take it that seriously on a personal level. Like when they start getting into like, oh, well, AEW loses in the ratings to WWE every week, so by that metric, they're inferior. And it's like, well, technically, yes, but is that why you don't watch AEW? You're not watching because the ratings aren't high? That sounds kind of stupid, don't you think? Like, if you're enjoying the product as a whole, why do the ratings matter to you that much? Like, why does the tarp over this side of the building matter to you that deeply? Like, there are people on the WWE side who make it their mission to go to AEW events and take pictures like, oh my god, guys, look, there's no fans on this side. Like, yes, I've seen this last week and the week before that and the week before that and the month before that. Tell me something I didn't know, okay? Like, this is not news. This isn't news. This isn't groundbreaking. Okay, are you going to go on that side of the ring and fill it up for them? If not, shut the fuck up. I don't care. Like, what do you want me to do with this information? WWE is flourishing right now, and guess what? There's been weeks where they have tarp on their side. They don't always fill up the cheap seats. Are we talking about that? No, we're not, because WWE is the big #1 conglomerate and no one can touch them. But AEW, it's easier to pick on because they're #2, and in some ways with the decline in popularity, they're struggling, but financially they're not. But it's fun to poke at them because they're #2.
I get sort of pigeonholed as like an AEW hater to a lot of the IWC, but like I swear it's the furthest thing from the truth. And it shows too. When I criticized when NXT went to St. Louis there, I was like, dude, it didn't have the vibrancy that I like about NXT, guys. And yeah, dude, I got jumped on. Oh, what do you mean it was a sellout show and everything? And I'm like, no, it wasn't, bro. Like, it's okay. I can criticize this. You know what I mean? I don't like the aesthetic of the Platinum era NXT studio there either. I like the last one better, but I'm okay with it. NXT is my favorite show, but I like what they had going on right before they moved to the CW. To me, it just looked better. God, people jump down my throat when I say, oh, damn, AEW drew 6K. They've been drawing like 2 to 3K fans every show. This show did 6K. That's a decent house for them. Everyone jumps on me, Phil, what are you talking about, man? They can't, it's 10% of the building and shit. It's like, yeah, but like
they did better,
like 3 times their normal shit. So it's
exactly, they still did better.
Yeah, so it's hard to like navigate. I find the IWC, so you can't please everyone.
You can't please everybody. You're going to piss. If you make one person happy, you're going to piss the other person off.
Yeah, they're sick. That's why we call them sickos.
Yes, they are sickos, right?
Yes. So every show, what I like to do, Sooplex, is I like to dive into a place that can be fun. It can be scary. It is called Philmark's Bookmarks, and we're going to jump into a folder called WWE News. Are you ready here?
I am ready. I just learned about this maybe like an hour ago.
Ditto. Twinsies.
Listen, you're on Twitter. I'm not, so there's a lot of news I'm not going to be knowing about.
Hey, listen to PWT, bro. You'll get all your little news.
I think I might have to. You're going to be my Twitter now.
I've seen you coming in super chat, man. The chat pop for that.
Oh yeah, I pop in, and it's always fun seeing people like, oh my god, Sooplex. It's like, wait,
dude, the chat pop.
I'm actually like somebody, like I pop into chats, people just know who I am. Like, no.
Yeah. When you pop in,
I watch people just don't know. I lurk a lot. A lot.
Well, I saw you pop in, and I was like, I'm gonna reach to him and just be like, man, let me just see if he'll come on the show. And you did, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's amazing. People are gonna love that. Is sort of bridging a gap, Yeah.
Why the fuck do you have this slob on your podcast?
Anyways, though, it's reported by Fightful. I guess WrestleLamia copied Fightful's story or whatever. I don't know, but Fightful was breaking all this news, but then WrestleLamia just threw it all into one little tweet here. Baron Corbin, Tegan Knox, and Indi Hartwell are not. I don't know if they were straight up cut. I know Corbin's contract was like expiring soon, and they just told him, we're not renewing you. And then with Indi and Tegan, I think they straight up were just like cut. So I guess I want your thoughts. Like, Indi was recently on TV. I want your thoughts on these people. We'll start with Tegan Knox. Do you think that's a W or an L for WWE letting go of Tegan Knox right now?
Well, I mean, I don't really think it's a W or an L. With Tegan Knox, it's a situation where she was plagued with bad knees. When she came into WWE, she already was working off of a knee injury. And I believe she got hurt either before WWE or it was during one of the Mae Young Classics. And then when they had the second Mae Young Classic, if I remember correctly, she was actually pegged to win the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah.
And then she got hurt in her match against Rhea Ripley and basically tore and broke her other knee. And they had to make shift. And I think that was the Mae Young Classic that not Tony Storm. That was the first one. That was the one who won the second one?
Here, I got him right here. No, Tony won 2018. Kyrie won.
Oh, okay, I got it mixed up. Kyrie won 2017. Tony won.
And then Io was the runner-up in 2018. That's why you thought that. So
yeah. You were basically on. Tegan was originally supposed to win 2018, and then she got hurt, and then he went with Tony. But Tegan, it was a sad case because she was a good wrestler, but I think once she tore that other knee, WWE almost kind of lost faith in her because they're like, okay, we can't trust your body to hold through. So all we got after that point when she came back in 2019 was a feud with Dakota Kai, which was warranted because they were besties, and then Dakota turned on her and whatnot. And you saw they had a little bit of hope. They tried pushing her, but every single time they got cold feet because it's like, I don't think we can trust your body. And when she got called up to main roster, I was shocked that she got called up because it seemed like the same thing where I don't know if they're actually going to do anything with you. And it seemed like as soon as they were going to start, she got hurt again. And it's like, bruh, I think it's over for you. I think it's over for you. She came back, and you saw they did nothing with her after that point. I'm actually shocked, and this is not an indictment on Tegan Knox. I'm shocked she lasted this long. I'm shocked she wasn't cut sooner because it was very obvious to me they were never going to do anything with her.
Yeah,
so
I mean, they just
this is honestly better for her career because she would probably be doing the exact same thing she's doing right now if she stayed, and that's nothing. So this is better for her.
They just kind of stuck her with Natty, and I think that she will she could go to TNA and do some good stuff. She could go all over, really. And I mean, the indies and stuff are thriving right now. So yeah, just go make a name elsewhere. And it doesn't mean the door's closed forever. I'm not sure Tegan Knox's age or anything like that, but yeah,
I feel like WWE probably would have slotted her in a producer role, which we've seen a lot with guys who got serious injuries. You know, Bobby Roode, Jason Jordan, someone else who I'm missing the name of. You know, guys who have major injuries and they're basically done in the business. WWE gives them producer roles and they excel in that position. So I'm almost certain if Tegan Knox wanted to be or express interest in being a producer for WWE, they would have said, hell yeah. And she would have stayed. But if she wants to still wrestle, they probably let her go because it's like, well, we're not going to do anything with you. So that's why they let her go. If she wants to still wrestle, this was for the better because she's not going to go anywhere in WWE. If she were to come back to WWE, it will probably be the same song and dance where we want to use you to get people over, but we don't trust your body. We don't trust your knees. It's unreliable. And, you know, she can go to TNA, she can go to AEW, and she might have mild success, but I would like to think, and hopefully not, it might be the same thing with other companies where they see the fact that she has had very bad luck with her knees. And, you know, do we trust putting a world title on you that you can carry this company and not get hurt again? You know, it's a liability thing for her. It's nothing about her in-ring talent. It's nothing about her on the rank. It's just her being a liability at this point. And it's upsetting and it's sad and it's not her fault.
Yeah.
But it's the sad card she was dealt with, unfortunately.
Exactly. So Indi Hartwell, who's been featured on television quite recently with Candice, who got a win over, I want to say she got beat by Naomi, but she got a win over, I want to say like Nia Jax or something. I'm so sorry. I probably botched that. The last 2 weeks, though, Indi's been in Candice's corner. Candice has been messing around with Nia Jax, who's the WWE champion, and Tiffany, who's got the Money in the Bank. So sort of high profile stuff. Indi also was sort of shoehorned onto that Australia card not too terribly long ago. And all of a sudden she's gonzo. Candice is still there. We know Dexter Loomis is there if we're thinking about the Way faction, which is really when Indi had something going for her. Not saying like she doesn't have a good look or isn't good in ring. Again, I'm a fan of both of these girls, but I'm not like devastated they were released. And I think Indi Hartwell is a girl where, hey, TNA, you're looking to build someone up over the next 5 years and have her be someone legit in your women's knockouts division. Indi Hartwell, you could build a division around her. She's got size. She knows how to work. She's, I believe, I don't even know her age. I know we don't ask ladies' age, but age is a thing.
I think she's around my age. She's around 27, 28.
So she's good. She's got 10 more left in her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
5 to 10 more solid years left in her if she wants them. And so, I mean, I think all of these talents will land on their feet. We're going to talk about Baron in a sec, but with Indi, I want your thoughts on her. And do you think it's a little weird, like they were just having her in Candice's corner, then just like, Indi, you're gone. Candice, you're cool. But, you know, is that weird to you? And what are just your thoughts on Indi overall, I guess, being released?
I don't really think it's weird because Indi Hartwell, she had better odds than Tegan because she hasn't really suffered any major injuries.
Right.
For Indi Hartwell, she fell into a different sad case where WWE, they like going overseas and getting some top names because they know they can build with these guys and sell those names when they go back to those countries. That's the real thing about it. When WWE goes to Japan, guess what? They got Shinsuke Nakamura. They got Akira Tozawa. They can sell to the Japanese crowd. When they go back to the UK, they got Pete Dunne. They can sell back to the UK fans. When they go to Australia, they got Indi Hartwell. But you want to know something? Indi is not their number one Aussie. And that was the biggest sell for her. They have a number one Aussie, and she's a woman. And her name is Rhea Ripley. So even though Indi was a good wrestler, even though Indi was pretty fair on the mic, and even though if you give Indi the opportunity, she probably could excel, she was never going to be number one. They found their number one, and their number one became one of their best merch sellers, became one of the best in the best storylines they ever had. They basically, Rhea Ripley became and transcended the mode of being, we are going to sell you to this audience because we can sell Rhea Ripley to any audience and she will sell out. And Rhea Ripley is a draw. And unfortunately, Indi's not that girl. And Indi, unfortunately also for her, has been paired off with Candice LeRae for the last 4 to 5 years. Yeah. She's been with Candice since the way in NXT. And that was kind of like a underling, you're under my wing type beat for her. And she got stuck with her ever since then and has not had the chance to truly break away. And like I said, a lot of it is because they already have somebody they can invest in Rhea Ripley, and Indi's just not that girl.
And Sooplex, let me bring this up too. They just brought in Zarya, FKA
another
Delta,
Aussie,
another Aussie,
again is just more marketable and in some ways better than Indi. So what do we need Indi for?
Oh, that's brutal. But as soon as I saw Indi, I went sorry. It's
upsetting to say, but that is the way of the entertainment business. When they have something that works and you don't fit in, there's a door.
Oh,
there's a door, or you can sit on the couch and wait until we give you a call, whenever that may be.
God
so
damn,
for Indi, this works out best for her to part ways because there was going to be nothing better for her than what she's doing right now.
TNA, call Indi. Indi, call TNA. Please do it. Please.
She would excel in TNA for sure. And AEW doesn't really have a big Aussie except for Kyle Fletcher.
But they do have that Aussie show. But they have that stadium show coming up.
They do have the stadium show, which could be a good look for them going into February. But they don't have an Aussie female to my knowledge. Oh, no. Tony's awesome. Oh, no. Tony's from New Zealand. Is she from New Zealand?
But yeah, she is. But like close enough, though. You know what I mean?
She's
like
close enough. But they could market Indi Hartwell as being from Australia because the only other one they have is Aussie Open, and I believe
Jay White, New Zealand as well. Jay
White from New Zealand. Also, Buddy Matthews is from Australia. Yeah. So like they have Aussies already, but they don't really have a core woman one. So
shout out Delta getting that Indi check.
Hey, listen, Delta's a beast, man. I can't wait to see what Zarya does on NXT. NXT is booming with their women's division. It's honestly, their women's division is appointment television for me.
Bro, I fully agree. And I'm one of these dudes where I've been behind the women's wrestlers, but I'm not like, oh, we need a women's show and all of that. Like, I agree. Like there was a bit of catch up time there, but you just look at NXT now in 2024, bro. The women are the most interesting thing on the show. I don't care what anybody says. Women are draws. They have their looks. I don't know, dude. NXT women's division is cooking right now. And they got Jordan Grace there now. She's the first, I say she's the first WWE ID performer because they just launched that thing. And I said a long time ago, she was already signed to one of those things.
Jordan Grace, WWE. You call her an ID performer?
I'm going to say she was like the template. Her and Joe Hendry, before they announced WWE ID, have already been signed to that shit where WWE gets first dibs on them whenever they're done their TNA stuff. And she just dropped the title and her deal's up like right in January, I think. TNA.
I wouldn't call them the WWE ID because WWE ID is them recruiting in guys from independent wrestling
indies shows. Yeah, so I know they weren't
WWE. No. Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry are a part of WWE poaching program where they're being poached
I love it
from TNA.
Yeah,
They're part of WWE poaching, not WWE ID.
Thank you for the correction. You're actually right about that too. Oh man. So speaking of poaching, hopefully TNA poaches or someone poaches Baron Corbin, who again, he's been able to win the crowd over numerous times. You stick him with Braun Breaker in a tag team, he's great. You make him happy, Corbin, and he's a millionaire, he's great. He's a schlub bum down on his last luck, you know what I mean? And he's great. He steps up to the plate, has a good look. He's been a mainstay, feuded with the top guys, to the mid-card guys, to the up-and-coming guys. He's been a team player, but this didn't fully shock me. What do you do with a Baron Corbin? You know, he got released. I'm not upset. It sucks to see him go, but I'm not oh shucks, Corbin's gone. You know, they have so much talent right now. It's hard. Even AEW too, they have so much talent. That's why I lean towards hey, everyone go to TNA right now. They're really starting to cook again. Let's see them have a little three-way dance here. But either way, that's my fantasy mark booking. Sooplex, your thoughts on Baron Corbin being released? And this is the one that everyone sort of seems the most shocked by. Were you shocked by this? And where do you think he ends up if you had to sort of fantasy mark book it yourself?
I was mildly shocked by Baron Corbin's release, not because I thought he was going to be the next main eventer in WWE, but because I thought he was going to be a WWE lifer. But I also called this, and I said it in my Instagram story, he was a mid-card lifer, where he has a lifetime job in WWE in the mid-card division. Baron Corbin was a tool in the toolbox for WWE, and it sounds so demeaning to say, and I'm not trying to make it seem like, oh, that's all he was to them, but it was similar to the Dolph Ziggler position, where he was there to be a heater for the baby faces they wanted to get over. Baron Corbin was never the top heel. He never was. Even when he was the GM, he was the Constable Corbin. He was a heater for the baby faces they want to push, like Braun Strowman, like a Roman Reigns at the time. Think of all the baby faces that went over Baron Corbin, and you have your answer. Was Baron Corbin ever going to be their top guy? No, because Baron Corbin, as fair and as decent as he is in the ring, and I think he's gotten better over time, he was never strong on a mic. He was never that appeal that they have, and he was never marketable for WWE. So he was always going to be a Dolph Ziggler position where, hey, we can use him when we need him, but do we truly need him? No, we don't truly need Baron Corbin. And that's why, his contract came up. They said, oh, well, we're just going to let it lapse over because, well, we're paying you to basically just kind of be there. And he's been in NXT for the last year. He was a tag team guy, and I thought he was having a really good shtick with Braun Breaker, but Braun Breaker's off to doing his own thing on the main roster now. So what do you need Baron Corbin for at this point? Baron Corbin, I think, can do well in a TNA. I said that for everybody here, but I didn't say AEW for any of these people because AEW is almost kind of congested with talent.
It is.
They have so much talent because Tony Khan kind of refuses to let people go. They have so much talent that it is so easy to get lost in the sauce over there. Baron Corbin, if he came in right now, right behind Bobby Lashley, he's lost in the sauce instantly. There's nowhere for him to go. He can be in a mid-card, mid-faction, but what is he going to do? He's not going to be feuding with the top guy. He's not going to be thrusted into AEW World Title pitch. I'd be on the floor, jaw wide open if that happened, but I don't see it. So Baron Corbin, he can go on the Indies and tear it up. He can go on TNA and tear it up. Shit, he can go to New Japan right now and start having some matches that might shock me, for all I know. But it's mildly shocking because I thought he was a lifer, but nothing's guaranteed in WWE unless your name is Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, or Becky Lynch.
That's right. And Corbin said, that's all she wrote, folks. It's been real, and I appreciate everyone who supported me. And yeah, man, shout out Baron Corbin. I don't know. I'll miss him, but these three will all land on their feet. I think we can both agree about that. Like, regardless, even if Tegan's got to like start training or working behind the scenes, I think these three are all just supremely talented people who I think Corbin could really just go off and do whatever. He's hanging out with Taylor Swift and stuff like that.
I said on my IG story as well. Baron Corbin, honestly, would make a really good cooking influencer. Have you seen some of the stuff he posts on his Instagram? Like, the way he like cooks meat and all that stuff, like he is a really good chef. Like if he wanted to be a cooking influencer or even have his like own cooking show, I would watch it. His personality really shows when he's not in WWE, and it's kind of crazy to say. When he's on his IG or when he's cooking, his personality shows. We see more of him. I'm more interested in him as a person than I am as him as a wrestler. And I hope that's not insulting to say.
Yeah. At It's Wheezy Blonde, shout her out. She says, thanks for everything. Barbecue stream when.
She even agrees with me.
You're saying. Oh, man. I got another little story here I want to talk to you
I didn't see this one.
Before we wrap up the show here. At WrestleOps says that the New York Times reports that a man who was convinced that he was in a romantic relationship with Alexa Bliss gave up about $1 million in retirement savings and his granddaughter's college fund to the imposter posing as Bliss.
You what?
Oh my God. What are your thoughts on this, man?
He had $1 million in the bank account and he gave it up to an imposter. This dude's not mentally right, because I don't know anybody who would just willingly do this for someone they never met. Obviously, I hope no hate is going to Alexa Bliss. This is not her fault at all. She was just a picture used online. If this guy believed that, that's on him. That's not her fault at all. It's just ridiculous to even see this article. He could have gave that $1 million to me, and he gave it up to some person he thought he was in love with, or he thought was Alexa Bliss. Like, that's insane to me, dog. I would, if I had $1 million right now, I ain't giving it to somebody I met online. Fuck no,
man. It's insane to me, and like this isn't the first scam that like Alexa.
That's an insane scam, though, dog. That's an.
I know $1 million, dude. That's crazy, and
that's life-changing money, dog.
Yes, and this isn't the first time this has happened with Alexa Bliss or other wrestlers too. That's a big thing now. It is a damn shame, and no heat should go on.
Scamming? Shit. Make money this season. Maybe I should start scamming.
For real, yeah. Better than the YouTube money. So it was Halloween last night at the time of recording this, but this might not drop till Sunday or Monday or maybe Saturday morning. Time cop, as Tony Khan would say.
Time cop.
Yeah. So here's some WWE superstars. Did you see this? Just quickly.
I did.
This, bro. This is hilarious.
Dude, I'm actually shocked that they let what's her name wear that, Maxine. I'm shocked they let her do that.
Dude, looking fine as wine though.
Oh hell yeah, brother. They said we going to Netflix. We wilding out right now.
I know, right? But yeah, so they had hilarious Halloween costumes, man. I got a good kick out of this. That was a good one too. The Hardys.
Oh, Mia Yim.
Yeah, he's in TNA, brother. He might not be working here ever again. King Booker, that's a great one. Rey Mysterio from the Filthy Animals in WCW. And then here's Indi with Chelsea Green. Indi's dressed as Chelsea, released the next day, bro.
That's crazy.
That is nasty business, man.
And that's corporate America for you. Smile on your face one day, fire you the next.
Yep. That's what I want to see in John Cena's last run. I want to see him and R-Truth win the tag titles together.
That would be actually funny.
That would be hilarious. And then we got Lin-Manuel Miranda. I mean, Jesus.
I saw that. That was funny too.
He dressed as Dirty Dom, dude. It's insane.
And someone on Twitter was like, "Oh, of course he's with them." I'm like, "What did Lin-Manuel Miranda do? Like, easy on LMM, bro. Like, I don't understand the hate for this guy."
Well, I don't know. People are like, "Oh, he's cringe. She did Hamlet for Disney Plus or whatever." It's like, shut the fuck up. People just hate.
He's a great music composer. I don't know. People just find reason to hate on people.
He's amazing, man. And Cody Rhodes said it recently in an interview. He's like, man, the main thing people get shamed for is effort shaming in 2024. Like, people do cool shit and people got to get mad about it, you know?
Exactly.
And yeah, it's silly. And speaking of which, man, Sooplex, you do the coolest of shit. Like coming on this show, man, I appreciate you so much. Like
Thank
I
you,
said,
brother.
I've been a fan of yours for a long time. You have an open door with me here at PWT Podcast. Anytime you want to come chat some
Hell
graps
yeah,
with
brother.
me,
This is fun.
you let me know, and you are welcome here. You know, and we'll dive into some more bookmarks maybe another time. You know, I go live Wednesdays and Saturdays anytime too. You're like, hey, you know, I gotta get this promo off or something. Feel free, man. Open door with me over here. I appreciate you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Sooplex, and make sure you go and follow him at Sooplex with 2 O's. And is there anything else you want to plug, my guy?
Oh yes, well, plugging myself, Sooplex, Sooplex. If you love films, definitely check out my film reviews on letterboxd.com/Sooplex as well. Also, check it out on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram because I'm posting my film stuff on there as well. I'm going to be streaming a lot more in the new year as well. So if you want to see some live content as far as like gaming, as far as like reacting to pop culture, Sooplex over on YouTube as well.
Hell yeah, absolutely, man. You are the best. Thank you for being here. This was another edition of PWT Podcast, and we will see you all in the Upside Down. Peace.